Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mikhail, and welcome back to yet another Misfits Racing League broadcast. Today, we're here for the 17th round of the MRL Season 4 Championship. It is, of course, the Americas Division, and they'll be taking to the Sochi Autodrom in Russia. And joining me, as always, is my fellow countryman, Stars. Stars, how are you doing today, mate? Ahead of what is expected to be a very, very entertaining race.
Mikhail, sir, I'm doing absolutely amazing. Some people mention going into Russia, it's quite a boring race, but I don't know. You look back, 2015, the Science Turn 13 big crash that he had there, as well as the infamous team orders at Mercedes in 2018, should be an absolute blinder for today.
Yes, so the circuit now on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 miles, 18 turns, two DRS zones, two very long DRS zones, and lots of corners with some technicalities to them, especially that chicane of turns 15 and 16. Very, very easy to lose the rear there. So those drivers will be managing the rear tires throughout the lap and trying to be right on the edge of limits. Isn't that right, Stars?
Yeah, definitely. Around here, easy to pick up some warnings and some penalties. So, obviously, quite tricky around the Russia circuit to be quick. So hopefully the drivers out there have done their practice and should be some good racing today.
Yeah, so we'll just have a quick look at where we have been and where we are going. So this is round number 17. Only a handful of rounds left. There'll be 5 races left after the conclusion of this one. But we've already been to Australia, Bahrain, Vietnam, China, the Netherlands, Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, Canada, France, Austria, Britain, Hungary, Belgium, Italy, and Singapore last week. Of course, today we are here at Russia, and then next week we'll be around the iconic Suzuka International Racing Course for the Japanese Grand Prix. And then we will be heading to, well, what will be quite a few of these drivers' home race, the United States Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time, and then Mexico, Brazil, and then rounding things off in Abu Dhabi. Now, before we get into things, firstly, a massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. As you saw in the intro, if you're looking for a comfortable and affordable sim rig, exclamation mark NLR on the chat. They've got a great range of products, definitely ones that you should check out if you're looking to take your experience to the next level and find those extra few tenths, get that immersion going. So exclamation mark NLR in the chat, and we thank them for helping us support the sim racing community, and also exclamation mark event. There have been quite a few recent changes to the Misfits Grand Championship, and more details there on our website, misfitsrl.com. And if you're looking to get into the giveaway that we'll be doing for a FGT light rig by our lovely partners at Next Level Racing, be sure to check that one, and be sure to join the Discord as well for more information on that. Now, Stars, after 16 rounds, round 17 now, here is how the current standings look heading into Sochi. So Becky B with a very comfortable championship lead, 257 points to his name, a good 90 or so ahead of his teammate Alex Yamamoto in second. However, Becky B, he's been a little bit shaky on his form recently. Still some solid results, still beating out those who are fighting with him in that championship, but we haven't actually seen him on that top step for quite some time though. So we'll see if
No, we
he's able
haven't.
to jump back after what is for him, a pretty disappointing run of form. Third place goes to the McLaren man, C. Joss. He's been on a roll recently, 132 points, 10 points ahead of the Mercedes Rhapsody, who I do believe should hopefully be back in that seat today. We'll have a look to see how he bounces back after a few races absent. BTFU for the AlphaTauri squad in 5th place with 118 points, so only a few points in it between those two. And then we have a fair bit of a gap back to Angel in 6th place for Racing Point. 10 points behind the Mexican is, of course, the owner and founder Zamis in that Scuderia Ferrari car. And then behind him we have Carmel Casquito, 1 point between those two with 45 and 44 points respectively, and Vischer in that second AlphaTauri car rounds off the top 10 with 35 points, just 1 point ahead of Maxime B in that McLaren. Holtzman lines up in 12th. Chris in 13th after his commanding performance last time out in Singapore. Then Fizzymon 4 points behind him in 14th. Then Gabox, Cheery, Twinkie, Guiza, Gabism, and then Stryfium will round out the 20 drivers in the standings. A quick look at the Constructors' Championship before we get things underway. Williams with a very lit 420 points ahead of AlphaTauri with a commanding lead in the Constructors' Championship, and McLaren only 3 points ahead of Renault in the Constructors, so I have to have a look how that one develops. But Stars, I think after all of that, I think that concludes our pre-show, and we are just about ready to get things underway here at Sochi.
We certainly are, sir. The drivers are selecting their compounds of tyres as we speak. We do have a couple of reserves in for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Brazilian back, Vial Acri, in the Alfa Romeo tonight. J Games on debut in the MRL. He did have a race last night, but I'm calling this his debut in the Haas. We have Fritz and PC in the Red Bull. Polly Punk joins the AlphaTauri team, our team, sir. And we have Will Gibson, WG, in the Mercedes tonight. So a couple of reserves in. Should be some good racing. It should be hopefully quite entertaining as well.
Yes, and it's clear skies at the moment here at the Sochi Autodrom. Yeah, not a cloud in sight at the moment, so these drivers will be going flat out for the next 18 minutes to set the fastest lap time they can and get that all-important track position. Not the end of the world here. In fact, I believe that second row is very, very powerful. You get that toe all the way down through the first corner into the first hard braking zone of turn 2, what we've seen already through seasons past, and also from tier 3 that well, Stars, a lot can happen at that first braking zone. You need to be in and out of the that corner as fast as possible to avoid what usually is a pretty massive accident that usually causes a first lap safety car around the wonderful Olympic Park.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. It reminds me of 2020 last year. Carlos Sainz, obviously, with the bit of a blunder I believe he had coming out of turn number 2, going into turn number 3, unfortunately. So, yeah, hopefully the drivers today can manage their way through turn number 1, turn number 2, and turn number 3 effectively. But yes, you are right. The Sochi Autodrom in Russia, or formerly known as VTB Russian Grand Prix, 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 miles, 18 corners today, 27 laps, and 154 kilometers the drivers are going to have to do. So hopefully we see some exciting action. Drivers, as you can see, are out on track at the moment. I do believe as well Malek is on hell, just for clarity in the stream tonight.
Okay, so we'll do our best to remember that one. But Angel, yes, he is making his way through the final sector on a set of medium tyres. We haven't really seen a whole lot of medium qualifiers yet this week. We saw, I believe it was the 2 AlphaTauris trying in the first one, so maybe Angel is taking a page out of their book. But Stars, take us around a lap of the Sochi Autodrome with the flying Mexican.
I'd love to. As you can see, comes around the last corner, very short run to the start, finish straight, DRS wide open as he begins his way through turn at number 1. 900 meters, ladies and gentlemen, from the start, finish straight all the way down into turn at number 2. You can see the 100-meter braking board as he goes past the Petrov grandstand on your left-hand side, makes his way through turn 2 quite comfortably there. It goes past Kvyat stand on his right through turn at number 3. You want to hug the car all the way to the left as much as possible here into turn at number 4. We don't want to use too much exit curb on the outside there. You just want to kind of hug the car around, and then this is where you can use a lot more exit curb for turn at number 5 and turn at number 7 coming up here. We did just go through turn number 6. Couple of slight kink corners, as you can see already. I think this is the third coming up here right now. As you can see, Angel actually takes it quite nicely, using most of the track available, but we get into the second DRS zone now with a long run all the way down into turn at number 13 here. Turn number 12, another slight little kink. Turn number 11, I should say, now into turn number 12 as he makes his way into the heavy braking zone of turn number 13 there, about 125, 130 meters out, braking zone there. Manages to get through the traction of turn number 14 and 15 quite nicely, as you can see, really using those low gears just to help his traction a little bit better on those medium compound tyres. Track evolution isn't at its finest at the moment. It's very green circuit, makes his way through turn number 17 here, opens up the corner for turn number 18. Our provisional pole sitting time is going to be a 131.5, so a lot more on the table here. I'm expecting to see some low 129s come out from the drivers today, Macau.
Certainly a very, very safe banker. We saw him particularly turn number 7, taking it nice and easy. We'll jump on board with his teammate and last week's race winner, Chris, as the times are already coming in. So Becky B currently sitting on provisional pole with a 1 minute 29.802, a whole 3/10 clear, and then Arcade, the Brazilian, with a 1 minute 29.481. So he's definitely making his mark in that Alfa Romeo. But Chris, in the second Racing Point car, making his way through the chicane of turns 15 and 16. Takes it nice and easy. It's really easy to lose the rear tyres out of turn number 16. But coming across the line now is the young American. Goes all the way up to P2 with a 1 minute 29.772. So he was on the pace in Singapore last week, and he's certainly on the pace here again in Russia, Stars.
Yeah, he certainly is. Chris, very fast driver here. I'm expecting to see some hot times. Here's Maxime B goes into P number 8, a 130.4 to begin proceedings for the McLaren driver today. We do have a couple of drivers. Jay Games gets over the line, a 131.1, and then the Renault driver goes across the line. So we've got the Renault boys in the 6th and 7th position at the moment.
Sejos, currently 3rd place in the championship, sets a purple middle sector, Stars. We don't know how much we believe what the track map tells us from the game. It's known to be quite inaccurate at times. But knowing that it is Sejos, and he does have a bit of pace in that McLaren, let's see if he's able to emulate what we saw the McLarens do in Tier 3 just a few hours ago. Across the line, what's it going to be? It's P3 for the American, a 1 minute 29.797 in that McLaren. And that's already in these opening laps. Some very, very tight gaps, but no one quite able to really provide a serious challenge to Upgrade at the moment.
Yeah, Upgrade's really got those pace at the start. I'm just on board with his Brazilian counterpart, Gabby. We've got the VL drivers in tonight. They showed a bit of a quick race, I think it was 2 races ago, but Gabby is deciding to abort his lap. So I think the next flying lap contender of the session is actually going to be Will Gibson, I think, who's actually on his outlap. Everyone else has actually invalidated. So we do have a bit of a pause, ladies and gentlemen, while the guys who have already done their first part of the session, actually it's Holtzman, sorry, I do apologise, who are coming in and refreshing the tyres, putting on their new set, getting ready for their second run. But Macau, Revo currently holds in Season 3 the fastest qualifying time at 128.9. Do you think it might be challenged today? I don't think so. I think that time's very quick.
It certainly is a very, very fast time. But, if the guy's like, Arco with his 29.4 banker, I think quite realistically that all the front runners have a shot at least challenging it and getting close to it. Beating it is another story. But I certainly think that we might see Pole B into the 28s, even if it is like a 28.999 or something like that. But Holtz, the Canadian, making his way through the final corner. What's the time going to be? It's going to be P13 for the Alfa Romeo, 1 minute 30.944. Solid F from him, 2/10 away from Polypunk reserving in that AlphaTauri. And Polypunk actually coming out of the pits right now as we speak. But like you were saying before, Will Gibson reserving in that Mercedes car. The Black Arrows making their way down the main straight into turn number 1, missing the apex curbing of the second corner, and then keeping it tight to this left-hand side, Stars. And it looks like Will, I believe he's been quite impressive in the America's Tier 2 that has recently been started. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that and what you're expecting from the reserving Mercedes driver?
Yeah, Will Gibson, he's shown a bit of an outing here in the first couple races in America's Tier 2. Definitely has the pace. Needs to fine-tune his racecraft though. There was a few incidents which happened in the first race at Singapore in the Tier 2 action here. But I mean, realistically, we've all been there. We've all obviously come through the ranks, and I mean, if anything's to go by, he could be the next hottest thing, especially in the Mercedes there. Obviously, you get a bit of advantage in the Mercedes, I believe, in this game. You're quite quick. I would know about that. But needless to say, he has been managing the car quite nicely on his banker run. This is his first run. He didn't set a previous lap time, so as you can see, he's mounting the curbs quite nicely through turn 15 there as he comes through turn number 17 now and into turn number 18. It's interesting to see what he will do. It's a 130.8, so a lot of time on the table for the Mercedes driver, but still is beating the likes of the Holtzman, who obviously famously had that impressive win at Hungary a couple of weeks back.
Yes, he is ahead of his America's Tier 2 counterpart. By only a tenth of a second, and only a tenth off Polypunk as well. So a really, really solid effort there from the Mercedes driver. This grid is extremely, extremely tight. We're now right on board with Arcraig, your current provisional pole sitter, to see if he can improve on that 1 minute 29.4. He's 9 milliseconds up through the first sector split, heading into turn 7. He needs to really throw this car in, taking it again very, very cautiously. A lot of drivers throughout the week saying the track limits have been quite the issue, and well, when you are really pushing the car that 110% that you need to in qualifying, it really can become quite an issue because you push slightly too hard, especially in that middle part of the lap, and run slightly too wide. Well, that could be your lap and, well, session over if you get it wrong at, especially turn 8.
Yeah, exactly right. We've seen some pretty actually big accidents around here. Traction zones are the one thing I know the drivers are struggling with today, but I mean, you just got to try and keep it within the track limits, get that traction down as best as you can, but needless to say, he's looking pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, well, Arcraig calling it that he wasn't quite happy with that lap, so he's going to head straight back into the pits. We will now have a look at the championship leader, Mr. Becky B, in that Williams. He's a tenth and a half up, purple in the middle sector. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to challenge Arcraig unless he really nails this final sector, but he certainly is in contention for that front row at the moment. Only 300 separate what was P2, now P3, as Fritzen in that Red Bull goes into second place with a .749. What is Becky B able to do? It is going to be P2 for the championship leader, a 1 minute 29.605. And that is quite the decent effort, but still over a tenth away from the current pole sitter Arcraig. So that banker time really standing the test of time at the moment, Stars. But
yeah,
if you really
exactly right.
If he wants to have any shot at securing that pole position, just getting that little bit extra buffer, if you will, as we're now watching Chiri, the Spaniard, making his way into the final corner, and it is 15th for the Spaniard, a 1 minute 30.858. And Stars, who is the next driver that we should have a look at? And
the next driver on track that you want to be keeping your eyes on is Chris at the moment. He is flying. He was up 3/10 going into, or out of sector 2, I should say. So he is on for a pretty big improvement here. It could even be a provisional pole at the moment if he keeps it clean through 17 and 18. Opens up the corner for 18 quite nicely. Uses all, well, he doesn't actually use it all. But anyway, it is provisional pole, a 129.458 for the Racing Point driver there. So a cracking lap out of Chris.
Chris puts it on provisional pole by 300th of a second, ladies and gentlemen, at 1 minute 29.458, as opposed to Arcraig's 29.481. So it looks like that duel for pole position has already started. Just over 5 minutes remaining. If you're new to the stream, welcome to the Misfits Racing League, season number 4, round 17. My name is Mikhail. Joining me is my fellow countryman Stars, both of us hailing from the great land down under on what is a very lovely and quite chilly Wednesday morning for us, but Tuesday night for these guys over in this States. And we obviously we are very thankful that you are joining us in what is shaping up to be a cracking race. Is Chris pushing against us?
I don't think so. He doesn't have the DRS open, so maybe he's just wanting to get back into the pits and just allow himself a little bit more time. Maybe he's having a little tweak of the setup slightly, but Not too sure. I do know Striffim's on an outlap though, so he's coming around turn at number 14 as we speak. So be interesting to see what the Ferrari driver does again. He, I mean, I say infamously, is doing another one-shot qualifying. It hasn't really worked for him in the previous qualifying sessions, but it's always good to see our main commentator in the MRL get a good lap on the board. So he's about to start, Mikhail.
Yes, we're just having a look at the Ferrari driver as he starts his lap. We're right on board for the entirety of his lap, assuming he makes it around the entire way. Striffium not feeling super confident. Again, he said earlier the aim was pointing hello. Will Gibson.
Right in front of him as well. He might be able to see the crash as he comes through turn number 4, you'll see.
Oh, he's right on the racing line too, just switching over to Yama for a split second. And yeah, luckily that car has been taken away by the quick stewards before the Ferrari driver made his way through. But how's the Striffium's lap looking so far? He's not feeling too confident. He told me that it's a setup that he hasn't exactly been able to spend the time really getting the grips of. And there you can see he takes turn 8 a little bit too much, gets that orange Sochi's curbing, and that is a broken front wing for the Ferrari driver. And with 3.5 minutes left, it's going to be pretty tight to get out and get back, or get in and get back out.
Yeah, I hope he can try and give it a crack and get back out. I don't think it's going to be possible, but we'll see. We'll see how quick the Ferrari engineers can work on replacing that front wing as he goes a little bit deep into turn 13. But yeah, not what you want to see, especially from the Ferrari garage. You've got one in P13 who is on a flying lap as we speak, just started his flying lap, and the other one is in last position.
Yeah, well, speaking of that Ferrari in 13th place, only a few, about 100th of a second between himself and Guiza at the moment. Zamas being on the better end of that duel. But coming through the first sector, he's 2 tenths up. Takes a lot of curb at the apex of turn 5, my goodness. But he seems to have kept the speed. Keeps it in 5th, that's what we like to see through turn 7.
Akri just did a 29 flat, Mikhail. Just want to point that out.
Wow, so the Brazilian, a 1 minute 29.046. And that is a very nice lap time. I'm very sorry that I missed that one. All of our lovely viewers normally want to not be missing an improvement, especially by some margin. That is going to take quite the beating. The gauntlet, stars. The gauntlet has been set, and that will be Arcade's final lap for the session to make his way into the pits. Now we'll jump back on board with the Ferrari of Zamas as he makes his way into the penultimate corner. Third gear, short up to 4, a little bit of a snap on the exit. That might cost him a little bit of time, but what's the time going to be for the Ferrari? It's P6 for the Scuderia, 1 minute 29.956. Half a tenth in it between himself and Yama, who, incidentally, is just about to finish his final flying lap, stars.
Yeah, he certainly is. Just on a quick side note, Striffium has come out of the pits. Yamamoto goes into P number 6 at 129.888. Wow, my favourite number. So Striffium won't be able to make it around the circuit in time to do a flying lap run, unfortunately.
We'll have a quick look at Chris. He makes his way through turn number 4. What's the first sector split going to be? He needs to find a fair amount of improvement. He only finds 8 milliseconds, those stars. So he hasn't lost time, but he hasn't really gained a whole lot either. We're just going to have a quick eye on both him and Becky B in this final minute of qualifying. The gauntlet is a 1 minute 29.046 from the reserve of Arcade in the Alfa Romeo. We'll see if these two, if Chris or Becky B, or maybe even Fritzen or Sejos, can snatch that pole position. Chris now making his way down the final DRS straight of his lap. What's the sector 2 split going to be? It's 0.08 of a second improvement, but it's not going to be enough for pole position unless he has a monstrous final sector, stars.
Yeah, he's going to need to push the car all the way around here. Becky B is only half a tenth up on his time, but he loses it through turn number 15. Back on board with Chris at the moment as he comes through turn number 16. This is where he's got to make up his time. It's very easy to make time here, very easy to invalidate. Hits all his apexes early on the throttle, a bit too early on the throttle. Is a half a tenth improvement. It goes into P number 2, back onto board with Becky B, and he's actually in the pit lane, so he's called it quits. So it looks like I'm going to call it here. Akri's on pole.
Well, the checkered flag has dropped. Becky B, the best he can hope for is third position with a 1 minute 29.605, 2/10 behind last week's race winner in Chris, who incidentally is 4/10, well 3.5 tenths behind Arcade, our current pole sitter. So these guys are going to have to pull out something special now. Currently riding on board with CEST as his teammate Maxime B slots in behind him, 2/10 away with 1 minute 29.861, and it's very, very shaky for the American. Number 15, McLaren, making his way around the final corner now. Is it going to be enough to jump up a few positions? It is! And he jumps up into third place with a 1 minute 29.457. A great effort there from the McLaren driver, but still, it isn't quite enough for that front row. And I do believe Casquito, next one to come across the line on an active flyer, coming through turns 15 and 16 now as Gabism in the Red Bull jumps Zamis for 8th position. It looks like Casquito are backing out of that lap, so we'll see who else is left out there.
Giza in P number 15 as he comes around turn number 18 here is an improvement, 3.5 tenths into P number 13. And I do actually believe that is it for qualifying, Macau.
Indeed it is, because Stryfium unfortunately has invalidated his second attempt at setting a hot lap. He did make the line, he did make the flag before it dropped, so he was able to start another lap, but not quite sure what happened there to the Ferrari driver, but he will be starting last on this grid. And Russia, it's not the worst place in the world to be starting last. Definitely opportunities for overtakes, especially with that long DRS straight into turn 2. But certainly isn't ideal for the Scuderia.
No, it isn't. I mean, you said that it's not ideal to start at last. I don't know, I kind of tend to disagree. If you have no safety cars around Russia, I don't think the alternative strategy is better, to be honest. I think the soft medium just works a lot better than the medium to soft. But needless to say, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just a commentator, Macau. I'm sure the drivers out there are going to prove me wrong, as they tend to do every week in Americas.
So, Arcade, the Brazilian representing VL there, on pole position with a 1 minute 29.046. An absolutely cracking lap there from the Brazilian reserve driver in that Alfa Romeo car this evening. A whole 3.5 tenths ahead of last week's race winner Chris, who will line up alongside him on that front row. CEST and Becky B will take the second row with Fritzen and Maxime B 5th and 6th on this grid. Yama in 7th, Gabism in Red Bull for 8th place, Zamis in 9th, and BTFU will round out the top 10, 1 second between himself and the pole sitter Arcade. But what a amazing qualifying session. We saw an absolutely stellar lap there from the Brazilian in pole position, but hopefully we'll see exactly what he is able to do, and if he's able to really hold that lead off the start, because that second row, Becky B and CEST, they're no slouches, and if they can get a good start and get in that slipstream down into the first braking zone, they can really challenge those front two for lead of things into turn number 3, Stars.
Yeah, definitely right. It's always an interesting start around the Sochi Autodrom. Hopefully the drivers manage to make it, or keep it clean, I should say, around here. Fourth longest circuit around Russia, Macau, behind Spa, Baku and Silverstone. Just quick stat out there for you, sir. You know, they don't call me the stat man for nothing. But I was listening to a podcast not too long ago, actually, and it actually featured 2 drivers, Daniel Ricciardo and Sergio Perez, obviously in the Formula One ranks at the moment, who actually mentioned that it's quite hard to overtake around Russia, as we do have a bit of a blunder on the start of the formation lap there. I think the Ferrari driver struggled to get it away. Zamis, I do believe that was, but a couple of other drivers say it's an interesting street circuit around Russia. It's quite narrow, but also very open at the same time. They actually use the analogy, it is like driving around a car park, Macau. So should be some close battles there, but wow, what a split in the tyre strategies.
Yes, I sort of see where the F1 drivers are coming from, especially with the lack of undulation and elevation change in the Sochi Autodrom. One of its many, criticisms from the fans on this circuit. Very, very hit and miss with the F1 community, the Sochi Autodrom. But yes, the tyres. So the back 10, all on the medium tyres except for Will Gibson and Striffium in 16th and 20th respectively. We'll now just give you a quick rundown of this grid. So Acre, the Brazilian reserve, on pole position with a stellar lap time of 1 minute 29.0 in qualifying. Whole 3.5 tenths ahead of Chris, who will line up alongside him in that racing point. Sejos and Becky B, second row. Fritzen and Maxime B on the third row, and then Yama and Gabizem on the fourth row, with Zamis and BTFU rounding out the top 10 on the soft tyres, of course, as they qualified, will set their best time on that softest compound. Then the two Renaults, 11 and 12, with Casquito ahead of Twinkie, then Giza for Mercedes in 13th, Polypunk, the reserve, in the AlphaTauri for this event in 14th, Chiri in 15th for Haas, Will Gibson on the softs in 16th for Mercedes, Holtz in 17th, JA Games, the reserve in Haas for 18th, and then Angel in 19th, and Striffium will take the rear of this grid. But 27 laps here at the Sochi Autodrom. If you're just joining us, you're just in time to witness the start of the Americas Division race around Sochi for the Russian Grand Prix. Round number 17 of 22. My name is Mikhail. Joining me is Stars. And a massive, massive shout out to all of you lovely viewers and to our lovely partners over at Next Level Racing, !NLR in the chat, to get a link to their website and check out some of their sim rigs, motion sims, flight sim stuff, you name it, they've got it. !NLR in the chat, as these guys are now forming up on the grid. Stars, I am absolutely like just salivating at what this turn to 1 and 2 could be.
Yeah, it should be amazing. As you can see, the drivers are getting ready to go in. Here come the lights, ladies and gentlemen. 4, 5 red lights around Sochi Autodrom, Russia, and it's lights out and away we go. And Sejos has got a blinder of a start. He's already over the back of Creed as they come through turn at number 1 here. You can see the drivers are battling for position. We're currently 3 wide, Macau, going into turn number 2, and 4 wide as we go further back here. Who's going to be the latest of the late breakers? It's 3 wide, and there is some contact, wheel-to-wheel action here. And Sejos is in P number 1 as they go through turn number 3. We're still 3 wide, with Becky B actually coming on the inside of turn number 3 as he's going to make up 2 positions here if he can get around. And Acrid and actually Becky B come together, and Becky B's nearly into the wall. He comes right back onto the track, and there is major wing damage here out of the Williams driver. So, my goodness, all the drivers are trying to just get around the next couple of corners. Chris loses it on the rear end there. Big snap. Becky B's going to try and come back out of him into turn number 5. And we're still side by side with Yamamoto trying to make the most of Akri's poor start here from P number 1 all the way down to P number 6, Macau. Wow, what a start.
Yeah, an absolutely unfortunate start for Acre. We'll now just get the position changes on your screen right now. So, as there is now an exchange between Gabisum and Chris down the second DRS zone. Of course, no DRS yet on this opening lap of things, but what a start from the McLaren there. And there's another exchange there as it looks like Acre losing it, and Zamis going extremely deep, cutting the corner, getting a 3-second time penalty for his troubles. But Acre has the inside for turn number 15, and now riding on board with the Brazilian. And I do believe it actually might be the Brazilian instead of Becky B with that wing damage. I think it's the Alfa Romeo. We'll have a look as yes, it is coming into the pits, as is the racing point of Chris. So those two already getting damage on this opening lap of the race. But Sejos with a absolutely monstrous start, and looks like Fritzen as well having a absolutely amazing start. So that second row really was the place to be, and Sejos, he just absolutely nailed that start and is just not looking back now, and he's going to try and do what Dirt Chocolate couldn't and take the win away for McLaren, away from that Red Bull right behind him, Stars.
Yeah, exactly. Angel got the move done on Twinkie going into turn number 2. But guess what? It is Striffium in the Ferrari, sir, in the soft compound tyres into P number 13. He's on the charge. He's angry. He's driving with menace today, and he's looking to get the move done onto Twinkie out of turn number 4 into turn number 5. And later on the brakes here, really gives him the squeeze. Obviously, Twinkie nearly goes into the wall there, but fortunately couldn't get the move done. But the Ferrari driver is looking quick.
Yes, he certainly is. He's all over the back of that runner. He has a look up inside into turn 8, no less.
I'm here, Twinkie. Watch out, sir.
Yes, he has to be very, very careful. He's had an absolutely amazing start. Actually, one of the largest winners, only behind Angel, who's up 8 positions from his starting place. So he needs to make sure that he doesn't throw it all the way in one silly and careless move. But down into turn 13, he's just sticking behind there, as it looks like Will Gibson Getting past GA Games for 14th position right behind them, but it is CJOS who will lead them away. 1.2 seconds already between himself and Frisson in the Red Bull. And we'll see, yes, he does hold on to that fastest lap of the race so far. Lap 3 now, DRS enabled. And since the detection point is after the timing line, we will see DRS for Becky B on this main straight. And he's already using it to gain time to the back of that Red Bull into the second corner, the first braking zone of the lap. But those three already have quite a significant gap to those behind. Gabby's about 9/10 in front of Yama at the moment, and then Zamis really holding up the guys here at the moment, Stars.
It certainly is at the moment. You just got to keep an eye on board because I feel like some action's going to be getting a bit spicy pretty soon. Strifim hasn't been able to get the move done on Twinkie here. The soft compound tyres should have a bit of lasting life in them around Russia. The tyre degradation, I should say, isn't too bad. But yes, Zamis already got that 3-second time penalty. He must have been watching something else when he came into the braking zone because, my God, he broke at about 50 metres going into turn number 13.
I think he might have just been very entertained by the battles going on in front of him and then just missed that braking point and just had to cut the corner to do his best to avoid what would be a nasty accident. But now riding on board with Chiri, the Spaniard, in 17th place. DRS open on the Holtz, but Holtz has DRS on his teammate as well. And they're both getting significantly on JA Games. Holtz looks to the inside, can't quite find the move, and Chiri can't find a way past the Alfa Romeo either. We'll keep an eye on those two. Meanwhile, up a little bit further, Maxime B getting very close to the back of that Ferrari of Zamis in the battle for what is 6th place at the moment. We'll see if he's able to use that battery and DRS to find a way past, but Zamis does have that DRS as well on the back of Yama as there's now an exchange for runner-up position. Becky B using that DRS and battery to forfeit is now into 2nd place. We're taking away that position from the Red Bull. So Red Bull 3 and 4 at the moment. Casquito has a connection issue. Hopefully we can get him back in as soon as possible. Giza getting past the AI car there. But it looks like we have quite the battle going for 15th place at the moment as well, Stars.
Yeah, we certainly do. Holtzman is really starting to close that gap on J Games. Will Gibson got the move done on to Striffium into turn number 13. I thought Striffium was going to fight back with the cutback or the switchback, but it didn't happen at the moment as Arkri and Chris are actually going side by side through turn number 2. One on the hards, one on the mediums. Our front runners of the qualifying session are back in P18 and P19. Oh, and actually have a bit of a will-to-will action as they come through turn 3. And Chris, nearly loses the rear end there. That could have been detrimental to his race, unfortunately, but he manages to hold on to the car. And on those hard compound tyres, he's going to the end of the race, Mikhail.
Yes, yes indeed. Those hards can do the entire race. I don't know how well they'll be feeling after that, as it looks like Angel getting past the AI car of Casquito. Casquito now finally joins back. As a spinning Mercedes, we just catch that there. It's Will Gibson out of turn number 14. And he has to wait for all these cars to go across. And looks
there goes
like
Chris.
Chris has left the session as well. We'll get the tyre information now back on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Currently, the only penalty is that 3 seconds for Zamis. But there we go. That's Yama shooting past the Red Bull. You don't see that one very often in real life. Of Williams shooting past the Red Bull. But there we go. Yama up into 4th place to try and help his teammate in that constructors fight.
Strifim, Mikhail, sorry to interrupt you. He's going into turn number 2 and he gets a move done on to Gasquito. Obviously Gasquito's back in the lobby, but guess what? He's coming back at him. They're going side by side through turn number 3, the 180-degree corner.
Hit!
No, the front row driver's into the wall, and he's picked up a bit of end plate damage there, and that's going to really impact his race there, Gasquito. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a bit of dirty air there out of the Ferrari driver. Got pushed, or just got moved into him, and then obviously the Renault didn't expect that, and I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, the stewards might want to have a little bit of a look at that one. That really, I hope that doesn't knock Striffium's confidence. He's had an absolutely amazing start so far from 20th on the grid. Now you can see him just letting both the Haas cars past. But there is quite the fight brewing behind Alex Yamamoto. Looks like the top 3 are well and truly gone on this track map. Can't get the intervals just yet for you, ladies and gentlemen, as Casquito and Chris are both making their way back into their cars. Unfortunately, that is a bug commonly known in this, in F1 2020. But as they come across the line to start lap 6 CEST is a 1.1 second gap ahead of Becky B and then Fritz, and then 4 seconds is the gap back to this train for 4th place. And
Huge
what a
train.
train it is.
Oh, Arnhel's had a bit of an issue here. He's coming to the pit lane. He's actually, okay, catch you later. Unfortunately, he's out. But look at that, going to turn number 2, I should say. All these cars in this heavy, heavy train at the moment. And guess who's this is benefiting? This is benefiting Geezer on those medium compound tyres. He's still within DRS. He's got 5 seconds on Twinkie. So, I mean, the Mercedes driver, he's got to pull something out here because, I mean, back in the day, Macau, they actually had a Russian GP here in 1913 and 1914, and both were run by the Benz manufacturer, which is now formerly known as Mercedes-Benz. So instead of winning 7 from 7 with Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas and Nico Rosberg, it is actually 9 out of 9. So hopefully the Geezer can get back on the top step there and make it 10 from 10 today.
Unfortunately, the other racing point of Chris calling it early in the pit lane. So that is both racing points out in the space of about 20 seconds, Stars. And looks like Racing Point will be packing up very, very early on this Russian Grand Prix. But the same can't be said for the 2 Red Bulls and Williams. They are going tooth and nail between, well, Yama and Gabby. And then Fritzen and Becky B as well, just ahead of them in the fight for what is 4th and 2nd place, respectively. But looks like
B gets a bit of a snap coming out of turn number 16 in here. He's lost a little bit of time to Zamis, and BTFU's having a little snifter as they come through turn number 17. So Maxime B's really starting to feel that pressure there, but Geese is still on the back of BTFU, so this train is just going nowhere.
You know, what I find interesting right now is BTFU has 90% battery. He was at 100% going through that final sector. So he is really stuck behind these guys and just can't find the overspeed that he needs to really make the move. And speaking of making the move, Gabby is getting quite close to the back of that Williams through turn number 3. Less than 3/10 is the gap. Looks like Yama having a little bit of a lock up into turn number 4. A little bit of a slide of those tyres. They are going faster, these two, but they are still dropping off massively from the front 3. The 3 leaders are absolutely away. I don't know what it is about Sochi and the McLarens, but Sejos is really on the pace this evening, Stars. He could really be in contention for his, well, I do believe would be his 1st or 2nd win. I can't exactly remember, but he is on fire at the moment, just like Dirt Chocolate was a few hours ago in Tier 3.
Oh, yeah, no, that's definitely right there, Macau. Yeah, hopefully the McLaren driver can bring it home. He's obviously looking very good at the moment, 1.1 seconds. So looks like he might be struggling a little bit more when the tyres get a little bit more worn. Becky B, actually, has he pulled the plug? He's pulled, well, I mean, the pin, I should say. Sejos is into the pits, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. I mean, a bit of an undercut here by a lot.
Yeah, they're taking a page out of the Red Bull camp from the real-life Grand Prix of Spain.
Which didn't end up working.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, they looks like Becky B and Fritzen won't have enough time to claw back the 2-stop, so we shouldn't be seeing that one. But we'll see how successful that Iron Man card is. And there's a safety car. Polypunk is out. Polypunk is out. Let's see if we can see a little bit. No, we can't exactly, but it looks like Polypunk has lost it at turn number 12 into 13. That's something you see very often.
No, it isn't.
This is interesting. Looks like Sejos actually has gotten past Chiri on the pit exit, so he would have had clean air as well. This is really unfortunate for the McLaren driver, as all these guys are going to have a very cheap pit stop, as of course they have to adhere to that delta pace. I believe it's about 40% of regular green flags being all these cars around 5th and 6th. It's going to be quite a busy pit lane, but this is absolutely horrible for these medium starters, because what do? Do you go on hard to the end? The softs won't make it from here, and you can't really bank on there being another safety car. It certainly is possible.
It's certainly tough. If you ask MRL Gulzi in the chat, he can tell you how many safety cars he can bring out around here. But needless to say, they are in a world of hurt on the medium compound tyres, unfortunately. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they've just got to stick it out and hopefully another safety car or VSC comes out. But look at this, all of our top boys 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all pulling the pin. Giza on those mediums has decided to come in, so I am assuming he's going on to hards, because obviously softs won't make it to the end here. Be interesting to see how this all plays out. Very, very busy pit lane here. Could get a bit of double stacking going on.
Yeah, then Twinkie staying out will take the lead of things. This is a very, very busy pit lane, and you have the opportunity, well, the unfortunate situation of maybe getting held. And held is BTFU. He has been held for an absolute age. See Joss, where is he going to come out in relation to these guys? He's lost out. He's lost the lead of the race. Becky V in the net lead of things. Fritzen in P2 and Joss in P3. So that safety car has absolutely destroyed the McLaren's race. He will have the opportunity to get back into that DRS range, but overtaking, especially when you're that close on pace, is very, very challenging around Sochi. We'll see anything else. Looks like Giza's pit for softs.
Yeah, so I think his plan here is going to be medium soft. Hopefully he gets another VSC and he can come in and just whack those next soft compound tires on. But yeah, it's definitely not the strat you want to be on. You're hoping for a bit of luck now for the Mercedes driver. But I mean, if anything does happen, he's going to be in prime contention to come out of this a winner. So I mean, all he needs is just that little bit of luck. And yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. But he's going to be a lot quicker than the boys in front of him. So I expect him to get some moves done quite early on before the trains start to form once more with the DRS.
Yeah, it's quite the unfortunate strategical predicament for those medium sized. We can see that Cosquito and JA Games have both opted to take hards to the end of the race. Certainly the safer call, and then just pit with everybody else if there is a late safety car where they can take softs, or perhaps put on those mediums that they started the race on again and take those to the end. But if you are JA Games and if you are Cosquito, do you pit again? Get off those hards if you have a fresh set of mediums?
I think so. I would, because you're going to lose. If they pit right now, they're going to lose. He's going to lose one position. So I'm hoping he decides to pull into the pit lane. Gasquito does, because Gasquito is a very smart little fella. JA Games, obviously on debut today, obviously hasn't picked up the strategical advantage of Formula One of being just new to the game, unfortunately for him. So he's going to be in a bit of a spot of bother. But Macau.
Oh, that's a front wing. That's a front wing. That's a front wing for Cosquito.
Oh, it is. So it looks like he might have picked up a little bit of damage on the lap, but I mean, it's worked out for him. He's.
Oh, this is gonna be close. This is gonna be close between himself and Holtz. Holtz coming around the final corner. We didn't think we'd be seeing any racing under the safety car. It looks like, oh, there goes the limit line, and yeah, that front wing change has cost him. He's now at the back of things. He's very close with Striffium, actually. You can just see there the Ferrari zooming past the Renault driver, but he is on those mediums to the end, and those mediums are going to have a lot more pace than those hards that he would have been on, and he's only lost, instead of one position with that front wing change, he's lost 3.
Yeah.
So not the
not all bad. No, you've got one Renault at the front, you've got one Renault at the back, and you've got 2 racing points out of the race, unfortunately for Chris once again, showing a lot of pace today. But Macau, don't know if you know this, but around the Sochi Autodrom circuit that we're currently racing today, did you know that the Winter Olympics were actually held at this venue in 2014? Did you know that? I didn't. I had no idea. I absolutely had no idea. But
no, I mean, like, no, they just put up the buildings for show, you know, for background.
Well, that's it. They got plenty of money in Russia. Obviously, you just got to ask Mazepin on that one. But as you can see, all the drivers are coming around the circuit. You do actually see the stadiums on your right, on your left as well. But safety car is in this lap. We are going green flag running once again. And I'm excited, Macau, especially for Giza on those soft compound tyres. This is going to be interesting. But Twinkie on the 9-lap old mediums, he's going to need to do something here. And I personally think he should back the grid up nice and tight right now. Back it all the way up. Let the safety car come to the pit lane and maybe out of turn number 17. go for it, because he's going to need to pull a little bit of a gap here, because Becky B's quick and we know he's flying already. So here you go, safety car is in the pit lane, is about to cross the detection point, so there won't be any auto lock on. And here we go, Twinkie on board. He's already got the overtake. Oh, he's actually turned it off, but here we go, he is off. And he actually had a pretty decent start, not to the turn number 18, but he's still got 5.5 tenths over Becky B. And we are green flag running again, ladies and gentlemen. And there is a big gap, 1.4 seconds back to Chiri. So Chiri's being caught napping here, and Giza is all over the back of Zamis at the moment, and he is closing, and he is closing quickly. Zamis puts the overtake on to try and defend into turn number 2, and there goes Giza up the inside, as easy as he like. For the Mercedes-Benz driver, but Zamis, hello, he's fighting back. They are side by side again through turn at number 3. We've seen this already once in the Ferrari drivers, and it ended in tears. Is it going to end in tears once more? It isn't. The drivers are giving themselves plenty of room, and Giza holds onto that P number 8.
What an absolutely amazing start from the Mercedes, just so late on the brakes into turn number 1 and gets that move done. But these front 4 are well and truly away. 2 tenths of the gap now between Twinkie and Becky B, the race leader and the net race leader. Of course, Twinkie yet to stop in this one, and Becky B, well, if he wants to be able to pull that 1 second gap to those behind, he's going to really need to pass Twinkie as quickly as he can. So, overtake, slipstream, to the left-hand side goes the championship leader, through the inside for turn 12, outside for turn 13, and he has passed the Renault driver now, Becky B, in lead of things. And now it's going to be a question of how quickly Fritzen and Sejos can get past this Renault as well, as there's an exchange there. So one Renault losing position.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mikhail. Giza out of turn number 14 and 15, and the very hard traction zone just flies by Gabasem. He's into P number 6. He's made 3 off the start, and he has got a bit of clean air now up to Yamamoto. But Fritzen, he is 1/10 behind Twinkie, and it is a drag race. And oh no, it's not actually. Twinkie is just letting him go. Maybe he wants to get that slipstream coming into turn number 2. Is he going to fight back?
Sejos.
Sejos out of nowhere. Look at the speed out of the McLaren driver. My God, what have they put in their car today? What a great move there into P number 3. So he's back onto the podium, and he is fighting.
Zamis as well getting past Chiri. So a very, very nice move there for the Ferrari driver. And very, very nice to see that those guys are moving through. But that time, they've already lost it. 1.6 seconds is the gap between Fritzen and Becky B. Those two have already lost the DRS and it hasn't even been enabled yet. Getting through, well, getting past Twinkie has been the saving grace for Becky B. First it was the safety car, and now it's that one car of traffic, that one car that decided to stay out and take track position is all it took. And now we're going to jump back on board with the pole sitter, currently sitting in 12th place, Arcade, as he's now chasing down BTFU. BTFU now currently sitting in 11th, 4 tenths between himself and Maxine B. Maxine B 3 tenths behind Chiri. This grid already starting to space itself out a fair bit. And Becky B just pulling that gap, 1.9 seconds, nearly 2 seconds already. Becky B, he really wants that race when he really wants to get back on that top step and just show all these newcomers, all these reserves who might have gotten him in qualifying. He is the championship leader. He is the king of this grid, and you do not mess with that flying Williams.
You certainly don't. He's on a mission. He's got something to prove today. Obviously, some poor results recently, and Sejos gets the move done onto Fritzen into turn number 2.
Oh, it was a tap.
Nice
It was a tap between Ayama and Giza. No damage there. Fritzen picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings at turn 2. We'll jump back a little bit further now. Looks like JA Games defending from Holtz. BCFU, 1/10 in it between himself and Cherry. We're now riding aboard as it's now Holtz going around the outside of JA Games. Looks like Esquito grabbing the inside as well on the Alfa Romeo. Holtz so much later on the brakes than the Argentine, but looks like that Holtz will hold on to that position. They are losing a lot of time behind the hard runner of JA Games. 2.6 seconds now is the gap between 14th and 13th. And you just see that Renault is all over the back of Holtz there.
It certainly is. You got the VL Turbo boys who are on a mission at the moment. One's all on the back of Yama, and Gabby is all on the back of Twinkie as well. So expect some moves getting done quite soon. Hopefully going to turn number 2, but BTFU gets a move done onto Chiri on those 12-lap old mediums. So really starting to feel the pace drop in those tyres for the Haas driver today. But Giza, He is ready and waiting. Yamamoto does not have DRS onto Fritzen here, so I think this is going to be light work coming out of turn number 18. It's going to be probably done just after turn number 1, but here we go. Overtake, engage. Yamamoto doesn't even have it. He knows it's just sit and duck. Moves over to the left, gives him some room. DRS open, and there goes Giza into P number 4, the Mercedes-Benz. But guess what? Right back at the back there, Gabby is going on the inside of Twinkie, and what a move there. But Twinkie trying to come back at him, but had a big snap. Nice save though. But this opens the door for Zamis. I don't know if he's going to go for it. I think he's just going to hold his moment and wait his time. Yeah, wow. Giza, he's on the charge, 1.6 seconds up to Fritzen now. He's got to close this gap, and it's a purple middle sector. He's flying. This could be the fastest lap of the race, Mikhail.
Well, he certainly needs to use all those softs have to offer. Giza, it's hammer time in that Mercedes, and it is the black T-Cam, so it is Hamilton's car, and he is really ringing that Mercedes as much as he can. Akre, the pole sitter, 3-second time penalty down there in 11th place. Matches BTFU there, who also has a time penalty. The Giza, man, yeah, he's already broken DRS to Yama behind him, and he is flying on those softs, and he really needs to in order to catch these front three and maybe save some of that battery, save some of those resources, and really just make the most of what the unfortunate strategical position that he's in. So he is going to need to stop again, and he needs to make up as much time as he can. And speaking of making up time, Maxime B making up time and a position on the Ferrari of Zamis. The McLaren driver now into 8th place, as it looks like Twinkie coming into the pit lane off of those 13-lap old and medium tyres. Softs to the end, I think?
Yeah,
surely.
Definitely. Yeah, you can see they're getting fitted on at the moment there. So the Renault driver currently last, got a lot of ground to make up, but the other Renault driver, Gasquito's all over the back of J Games, has been for about 3/4 of the lap. Can't get the move done into turn number 2, but they've closed the gap onto the Holtzman at the moment in P number 13. So expect to see some battles coming out of there. Will Gibson over the back of Chiri at the moment, only 1.5 tenths behind as they coming into turn at number 4 at the moment. So some very close gaps on this grid at the moment.
Yeah, you can see.
We did say it was hard to overtake around here.
Yeah, it certainly isn't easy, but certainly is doable. We've seen how much speed you can carry if you nail the exit there. And it looks like Casquito at the inside of turn 6 into turn 7. The Argentine now making his way past the American, I believe American, I hope I didn't get that wrong. JA Games down in position now for the American squad, the American team in that Haas car. And Casquito now on a charge to try and take that 14th place position. Jay looks like Holtz under a little bit of pressure. Striffium as well within DRS range of JA Games as well. And we'll have a quick look at this pack as Striffium getting very close to the back of JA Games in the under-braking into turn number 13. But the battle for what is the runner-up spot at the moment is certainly shaping up. Giza, he has that overtake, he has the slipstream. Both him and Fritzen will have the DRS. You can see the speed in that Mercedes power unit. To the inside now goes the Mercedes on the Red Bull side by side. Later on the brakes is Giza up into turn 2. And Giza makes his way onto the podium for the time being. And now Cedros next on the Mercedes hit list. What a charge from Giza at the moment. He is really showing the speed in that Mercedes car. The speed of those soft compound tires. And that might be sending a shiver down those guys for the end of the race if he goes on to another set of these.
Yeah, not wrong there, Macau. Cedros is still in P number 2. Twinkie picks up a 3-second time penalty. But Becky B's only pulling out about 1/10 and a half every lap. So Cedros has definitely got the pace. Just needs to maybe get a bit of luck just to get back in with that DRS. And we've got a race on our hands. But guess who does have DRS? It's Giza. And guess what? It's P number 2 for the Mercedes driver as he goes flying by down the inside into turn number 12 past the McLaren driver. So he is really on a charge. These tyres are still being beneficial. Zamis gets a move done into Maxime B into turn at number 13 into the braking zone. So Ferrari driver moves up another spot. These guys are just going back and forth for P number 7 at the moment.
Yeah, there's you can see the clumps there on the track map on the right-hand side of your screens. Striffium does the same thing that his teammate did. Gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. I don't see any visible damage on that Ferrari front wing. Maybe just broke a little bit too late to try and make the move on J Games as Arcade into the pit lane now and getting off of those medium tyres for a fresh set of softs to take him to the end of the race for the last 11 laps. But Sejos in that podium place is sticking well and truly onto the back of Giza as Cherry comes in for a set of softs as well in that Haas. Dropping all the way down to what is P17, last of the runners. Will Gibson, 3-second time penalty. That could be huge. That could be huge for that, well, what it would be final points positions. Especially if Giza is able to push as hard as he is. I mean, is it possible for those softs to make it to the end? We did have a few laps on the safety car. He's certainly really pushed those tyres. So it's going to be challenging, but maybe possible, Stars? Maybe?
Oh, to be fair, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him try and stretch the softs all the way to the end. That would be amazing. I don't think it's going to be possible. They're definitely going to be at breaking point. But, I mean, it would be great action, wouldn't it? Try and hold on to as many positions as you can. Because, I mean, you're losing 26 seconds in the pits around here. As Zamis actually gets some move done onto Gabby to turn number 13. So Zamis is on a bit of a move here. That's 2 positions in 2 laps. So, yeah, 26 seconds lost in the pit lane. He's definitely going to go from 2nd all the way down to probably 16th, 15th. So, it's going to be a lot of time lost. I think maybe you just hope for a VSC or a safety car and you just go to the end. You just hope, you pray. I think that's the call here. That's what I would do.
Well, we saw Zamis make it past Gabby's into turn 13. Now it's Gabby's turn. He has the DRS, the slipstream. He's not using that overtake. He's not going to be quite close enough to make a move into turn number 2. Maxi B getting very close to the back of that Red Bull, and BTFU isn't too far behind them. Casquito around the outside into turn 2. And my goodness, the Renault driver getting past Will Gibson in that Mercedes. So a very, very nice move indeed for the young Renault driver.
Yeah, 100%. You've got Gabby, who's all over the back of Zamis. He doesn't want to let him go, and Maxime B's here as well as BTFU, who's actually on this battle once more as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, ladies and gentlemen, how it all plans out. Get your predictions in the chat. Who is going to be on the podium today? Because this is really turning up to be something very, very interesting.
Now, what else is interesting? Yet again, BTFU has a full battery. He's now starting to use a little bit of that, trying to get a bit of overspeed up to Maxime B, but he's stuck in this train, Stars. He's stuck in this train. He has that time penalty. We'll get penalties up on your screen just for a little bit. So all drivers with penalties are only 3 seconds at the moment. But he's stuck in this train and he can't really find a way past, even with all that battery, and he's just forced to just save it. Save it because he can't find the straight line speed as Giza does make his way into the pit lane to fit on.
I think that's a mistake there.
Yeah, maybe those tyres were indeed done. It maybe pushed them a little bit too hard to try and stretch them to the end of the race. But BTFU, he has this full battery. He's now starting to use it as we are in the final 10 laps of this race. 9 laps to go after this one. And he can't find a way past. He has a 6-second gap back to Casquito, so that 8th place is well and truly safe for the time being, as Akraid takes the fastest lap. The pole sitter down there in 16th place, 1 minute 31.7. But BTFU, he can't find a way past. He can't find a way to just get that clean air, push the car, use that battery effectively, and just pull out, the gap that he needs to maybe secure himself a few extra points for that AlphaTauri team.
Yeah, hopefully he can find what he needs to be able to get past. But JA Games and Striffium having a bit of a battle. Giza on the fresh off. See you later. Striffium, thank you. Goodbye and good night. Mercedes-Benz gets past the Ferrari driver there, and he's on the charge into P number 13. So he's going to get points today, I dare say, Giza. But, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it was a bad call. I feel like he should have just stayed out and hoped for anything and just bring the car home. But he must have really used those tyres to their full potential. And my God, JA Games either braking very early or Giza very late. I don't know which one, but it's opened the door to Striffium. And these two have got a bit of rivalry going on here at the moment. I don't think Striffium's going to get the move done on JA Games because JA Games has got the DRS onto Giza. But yeah, you're going to have to watch that battle. Those guys are going to be going hammer and tooth, or hammer and tong, I should say.
Yeah, tooth and nail, I think is this phrase that you're also looking for there, Stars, to describe that one. But yes, unfortunately, Gorzieg not on this grid anymore, just solely focusing on the Americas Tier 2. But Striffium has found himself a new rival for this particular race, You just love to see it. You love to see these rivalries. And speaking of rivalries, we have one brewing for that runner-up spot. 3/10 is the gap now between Fritzen and Sejoss. Fritzen 62%, Sejoss 59%. These guys are very, very even on battery at the moment. Fritzen has a little bit of a look into turn 5. Chiri gets off 3-second time penalty, and
Riffium.
around the outside into turn 2. Can he find the run and drive that he needs out of that? No, he can't. Well, he can
Hello,
on
Twinkie.
on JA Games with Twinkie now. Yes, you're saying. Stars up the inside into turn 3. He is going to make his way past JA Games as well. And now Striffium runs a little bit deep into turn 4. Does Twinkie have a look into turn 5?
Oh,
no,
Yama.
not quite.
Yama's got a disconnect here. That's going to really cost him because Zamis is within DRS at the moment. Hopefully he can get back in. But
side by
the outside
side,
of
Twinkie
J
has a
Games.
tap. And no, they've come together again.
No, that's twice now.
They've come together again. Striffium and Twinkie. He's had problems with a runner before. I'm pretty sure it was Twinkie before. It might have been Casquito. But yeah, that's, oh my goodness, that is just super, super unfortunate for Striffium there. I think Twinkie, he got a little bit of a moment, a little bit of a snap of oversteer and tried to correct, and unfortunately when he corrected, he went straight into the side pod of Striffium. And that was all she wrote for the Ferrari's hopes and dreams. But speaking of hopes and dreams, Fritzen has his dreams set on that runner-up spot and using that DRS to good effect.
Zamis and Gabby all over the back of Yama because Yama is currently out. They're going 3 wide. Here comes Gabby down the inside. He does actually brake a little bit earlier. Zamis goes very late on the brakes here, and Maxime B has come into it, and BTFU as well. BTFU is all over the back of Maxime at the moment. He's really got that extra pace. He could have used that battery to maybe get the move done. He just squeezes out the AI of Yamamoto. So all these drivers have gone up, and Yamamoto's lost 4 positions in this battle because of a disconnection, unfortunately.
Well,
and here he is.
He's now back in that section because Quito picks up his first 3-second time penalty. And that's one less car for BTFU to worry about. If it's anything like, well, how hard it was for BT to overtake in this train, Alex now does have control of that Williams car again. You can tell the gaps are now disappeared. But Fritzen and Sejoss still having their little duel for runner-up spot. Looks like the win might be slightly out of reach unless there's a late safety car. But yeah, these guys still on for a very, very solid finish on that podium. And Zamis in 4th, despite that 3-second time penalty, in a very, very strong position at the moment in 4th place for the Scuderia.
Yeah, he certainly is. Had a bit of an issue at the start of the race and really come out of his shell now. He's he said he's been wanting to get up there for a little while now. He's had some really poor races, unfortunately, some unfortunate accidents and incidents which went on, which really cost him some hard-earned points. He did get a podium once, and he's wanting to get back on the podium once more. He is 8 seconds away from Sejoss, so it's going to be a very tough ask for him, maybe a late safety car or something like that. But needless to say, back on board with the Acri on those 4-lap old softs with the DRS onto Holtz. Holtzman's got only 20% ERS, and there goes Acri into P number 12 past his teammate. The Alfa Romeo is currently sitting in P12 and P number 13. Just up the road is you got the 2 Mercs, Will Gibson and Giza. So, and obviously behind them you got the Haas's as well, J Games and the Cherry. So obviously the drivers are really wanting to work with each other. I don't know why.
We'll see if Acri is able to at least get into the the top 10 on track. So he does have to pace Zamis. That's going to hurt.
6 seconds now.
Really going to hurt. 6 seconds now for the Ferrari. You're right, Stars. And things are not looking great. 3% ERS in the Ferrari tank. 5% in Gabby Tower. About 9% in Maxine B. But
where's all the ERS?
But 57. I think it's all in BTFU's battery. 57% for the Alpha Tauri. And he's running out of laps to really make this move. Now Arcade making his way easily past Will Gibson into turn 13. The flying Brazilian really, really showing the speed that he has, even though he's not quite in a points position just yet, and he won't be in the points with those time penalties unless Casquito picks up quite a few more.
Oh, hold on. BTFU's got the overtake engaged. He's had it engaged all the way since the start-finish straight. He is closing, but Maxime B's got DRS as well. I don't know if he's going to go for a move. He's just used about 20% of it. Yeah, BTFU really needs to find something. He needs to just either push and get very, very close to Maxime, at, you know, obviously through the
the technical section of Sector 3 to have a chance going to turn number 2, because Maxime B isn't losing DRS onto Gabby. So ETF, you need to do something here if he wants to move up. He also has that penalty as well, which is hovering over his head, and the drivers ahead don't.
Yeah, I'm sure these drivers ahead of him might have at least one warning. I think we've seen quite a few of the drivers just extend that little bit once. They made their way through turns 7, 8, and 9. The BTF, he really needs to get a move on. He really needs to get a move on and use this battery, and he really needs to work on his exits, particularly out of turns 10 and 18, because he seems to be losing a fair bit of time to Maxime B in those traction zones.
Exactly right. Guess who's got 100% ERS? It is CEST, the McLaren driver, 4 tenths, 3.5, 3 tenths away from Fritzen at the moment as they come through Sector 3, turn 16 into turn number 17. He should be getting the move done, I dare say, this lap, or unless he's just waiting and biding his time. I'm not too sure what his strategy is. Obviously, Fritzen has got that time penalty over his head as well, but yeah, CEST not using the ERS, just relaxing at the moment.
Well, one driver who certainly won't be relaxing is Giza in that 10th place now. He's all over the back of Mosquito. We saw him fly through on the softs once before, and he's going to do it again. Stars up the inside into turn 1, and the Mercedes is cleanly through on the Renault. Mosquito using the slipstream to stay with the Mercedes driver, but isn't going to quite be enough to make his way past. And Giza, you can just see the run that he gets out of turn 2 and at the exit. Through turn 3 now. He's already pulled 4 tenths of a second as a gap, and that car is just working. That car is just working. We can see as the tires start to get worn, Mosquito, those, the front's starting to wash out a little bit, particularly at turns 4, now 5 as well. And it looks like BTFU has been struggling with that as well, just unable to get the front end sort of stuck into where he wants it, and that might be where he's losing his time. 8 tenths is now the gap, and he's used a fair bit of that battery. And Maxime B still staying around that 14% mark. So I don't know if it's something to do with the setup or just a lack of confidence through these corners, especially with that time penalty. But speaking of time penalties, Twinkie now in 16th place picks up a 3-second time penalty of his own. But just can't seem to really get the car turned in. I don't know if you're noticing that as well, Stars, but it's especially as these tires are getting worn.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he holds this pace, which he's doing at the moment, which he's... I thought he was going to go for the move into turn 17 on Yama. I thought that would have been a little bit silly with DRS and whatnot. But if he keeps this pace up, he's actually on for a P6. He's going to get past Yama. He should get past BTFU on Pens, as well as Zamis with a 6 seconds. So if he keeps up this pace, he could be on for a P6 out of the Mercedes-Benz driver, but all over the back of Yama. Yama actually defends and nearly sends him into the wall there, really. I mean, not sending him into the wall, but leaving him no room. But yeah, still gets a move done. A little bit hairy there. Toto Wolff would have been on his chair a little bit there, probably smashing the desk, but still gets a move done. And P number 8 now for the Mercedes-Benz driver.
Yama leaving him just enough to get past, trying to deter the Brazilian as much as he could, but it
definitely
just wasn't
a code
enough.
brown there.
Yeah, definitely would have definitely very, very scary, very Schumacher Barrichello-esque going through into turn number 2, but you can just see the amount of grip still left in those 5-lap-old softs. He's already nearly pulled out a second, and I don't think Yama's actually going to have DRS. It's going to be very close through the detection point, 9.991. So yes, he will have DRS down this straight to at least try and make back some of that time. But that's all that the Yama can hope for. Unfortunately, with that disconnection, the best he can hope for at this stage, maybe get within that 3 seconds of BTFU, but P8, P7, P8 is all that he can hope for at this point.
Yeah, exactly right. CEST here. I think maybe CEST is playing a smart game. I think, I don't know if we spoke to him a couple of weeks back or somebody else even said that he's actually got the overtake engaged at the moment with DRS open. He's going to be closing in very, very quickly on a Fritz, and I think this is it. I think this is a time where he wants the P2 on track. He's got it effectively anyway with the penalties, and here we go into turn number 2. Fritzen goes a little bit deeper on the brakes here. CEST hopes for a better run through turn at number 2 into turn at number 3. Overtake still engaged here. He's thinking about going on down the inside. Fritzen leaves him the room there, opens up the door. Hello, sir. Being very kindly there to the McLaren driver. And they do touch. Fritzen gets a little bit sideways, loses the rear end there at a turn number 4. But CEST on track and effective P2 was for the last couple of laps, but now it looks a little bit nicer. So he's got 5 seconds up the road to Becky B. I don't think he's going to be able to catch him though.
Yeah, Becky B in a commanding lead in this race. Not as commanding as we saw Chris last week, but 5 and a bit seconds with 1.5 laps to go in this one is certainly looking very, very strong for the championship leader to get back on form and get back on that top step. But I think Fritzen, is he having a look? Fritzen having a look. Whoa, that's very, very close. He does have that 3-second time penalty, maybe trying to force CEST into a mistake, and a mistake at this stage of the race could be detrimental to CEST, given that Fritzen does have that DRS. But we are about to start the final lap of things, lap 27 of 27, as Becky B making his way down the start-finish straight for the final time in this race. CEST and Fritzen crossing the timing line. They get the message from Jeff that this is indeed the final lap of the race. CEST dumping all of that battery that he has left, and it looks like the speed is going to be enough to hold the Red Bull at bay, at least for the time being. We'll have a quick look now back behind with these guys all on the DRS train. Looks like Gabby, he's gating as well on to Zamis. Isn't going to quite be enough. Looks like Arcade as well getting into that 10th place on track with what is, I believe, 6 seconds of penalties. But Cosquito keeping it nice and tight, making sure that he's right there to snatch that point when they go over the timing line for the final time in this race. And look, oh my goodness, Fritzen all over the back of CEST, but even closer is a Maxime B and Gabby all over the back of Zamis. BTFU's there as well, as is Giza. So Giza on those softs is right there with them as well. And he might even have a look up the inside of BTFU into turn 10. He has a little bit of a look, but not quite anything doing. But looks like, see, Maxime B with that DRS. Is he going to have the speed that he needs? They all have DRS on Zamis. Is there going to be any gaps closing to make him move? It doesn't quite look like it. And no, it isn't. So that one final sector to go. Becky B, Mr. Brendan making his way across the start finish line to win the Russian Grand Prix. Back on the top step once again for the championship lead to extend his advantage. CEST in P2. Fritzen will round off the podium. But all eyes now on how penalties will affect this clump all the way from P4 to P8. And it looks like Gabby will take 4th place for the Red Bull squad. And then Maxime B, 5th place. Giza in 6th. BCFU in 7th. Zamis in 8th. Yama in 9th. And it looks like Alcrade will indeed pick up the final points in 10th position ahead of Cosquito and Will Gibson. Yama leaving the session there. But yeah, Gibson in 12th. Holtz in 13th. JA Games comes across the line ahead of his teammate on track. How the penalties going to shape up, they don't change anything. So JA will finish ahead of Churi in 14th and 15th. Twinkie will come across in 16th, and Stryfium, unfortunately, will be last of the runners in 17th. But Stars, what a performance from the championship leader, extending his advantage and back on that top step once again.
Yeah, definitely. He had something improved today, the Williams driver, and my goodness, did he deliver. Got a little bit of fortunate luck there, as we'll probably talk to him a little bit later about, but still, you needed to perform, you needed to get the job done, as we have Stryfium, who's just crossing the line at the moment, just going right over to his pit lane wall, really giving them the thanks guys for that race, thanks from Renault, or I should say Ferrari actually. And yeah, he really performed. Giza, driver of the day there, obviously on the 2-stop strategy, obviously not viable around Russia unless you do get a fair bit of luck, but still, Becky B, welcome to my championship. This is my championship. Now he just extends that lead you were talking about before. The Williams boys even extending the constructors a little bit.
Yeah, so Becky B on that top step once again. He's going to be really happy with that one. It's been a long time since the last time he has been on that top step. But a lot of points over his teammate Yama, his closest rival in the championship. And things are looking very nice indeed for Becky B. I do believe he might actually be able to round up this championship in 2 rounds' time when we head to the United States if he keeps it at this rate. But Becky B, the race winner for today's race, a 1:33.5, his best time, starting from 4th on the grid. We'll be hearing from him in a few moments. CEST, the McLaren, it could have been the race win, but unfortunately fate didn't go his way today. He will take the runner-up spot. And Fritzen, the Indian, well, representing the Indian nation, in that Red Bull car will take the final place on the podium. With that 3-second time penalty, just couldn't really fight to really take that runner-up spot. Gabby Zim in the second Red Bull car, the Brazilian doing a very, very nice job there in 4th place. Maxime B in the second McLaren. So the 2 Red Bulls, 2 McLarens very, very close together. He will finish in 5th. And Giza with the 2-stop strategy will finish in 6th place. And BTFU behind him with that 3-second time penalty in 7th. Samus for Ferrari will finish in 8th. Yama in 9th for Williams. And Akrade, our pole sitter, will finish in 10th with the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 31.744. Outside of the points, we have Cosquito, Gibson, Holtz, JA Games, Cherry, Twinkie, Strifium, Polly, and then Polypunk, Chris, and Angel unable to finish this one. So both racing points out in this one. Very, very unfortunate to see. But Stars, just give us a rundown of your feelings after that one. It was very, very entertaining, but we just saw the pain and how hard it can be to overtake, especially when you're caught within that DRS train.
Yeah, it certainly is. I heard a few people this week who were saying how easy it is to pass around Russia and whatnot, and I mean, it just goes to show it really isn't. That DRS train is in full motion. It's just like brings me back to races like Monza and whatnot. It is so tricky. Obviously, you can get the moves done. There are times and there are places to do so, but at the end of the day, it is just too difficult. Too difficult. Qualifying is important, but Becky B really showed his class today, and it's great to see those I think there were 5-6 cars right at the end there, really battling all the way through. So great to see. Unfortunately, some incidents and accidents which happened, especially through turn number 3 there, unfortunately for Strifium, really was very unfortunate, which what happened with him twice with Twinkie. So bit of a coming together there, but once more, Americas doesn't disappoint, ladies and gentlemen. It was another blinder.
Yes, I think Strifium will be going over to that Renault garage and we'll give them a very, very sarcastic thanks. And yeah, not going to be too happy with those guys. But we will now start the interviews. We do have all 3 of our podium finishers here available for an interview. And the first one on the block was Fritzen, reserve driver in that Red Bull. Fritzen, congratulations on your 3rd place finish. Unfortunate with that 3-second time penalty, but just walk us through that duel that you had with Sejos in the second stint. What an amazing, amazing duel that you two had out there for us today.
Yeah, basically, I just tried to stay in the DRS because DRS is so crucial around this track. Then I saw the Mercedes who was on softs, and then I saw C-Joss was sticking in the DRS, so I was waiting to the Mercedes' tires to go off, and then so I saw C-Joss. Now I had the DRS, he didn't, and so I went for it. And then on the penultimate lap, yeah, I defended, but he just absolutely done me down the inside at turn 3. So yeah, it was a good battle though, and a good race for me.
Yeah, we saw you really trying to defend that position, especially at turn 4 as well. A little bit of contact there between yourself and Sejos. I do believe that, if I'm not mistaken, this is your first race here. Certainly your first time on the podium. So, well, congratulations once again. And will we be seeing you in any of the coming races and potentially next season as well?
Well, yeah, hopefully. That's the goal and the aim. So.
Well, Stars, any questions for our 3rd place finisher this evening?
No, you summed it up perfectly there, Mikhail. Congratulations, sir. And yeah, hope to see you out there again for the Americas division.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we'll now be joined by the 2nd place man, and I'll hand it off to Stars to talk to the McLaren driver, Sejos. Sejos, it could have been so much more there, but similar to Dirt Chocolate in Tier 3, just wasn't quite McLaren's day today. You didn't lose it to a Red Bull, lost it to a Williams this time. But still, amazing, amazing pace, and congrats on the P2. Stars, take it away.
Yeah, see, Josh, unfortunate. I was rooting for you, sir. You had a lot of pace there at the start. It was a blinder of a start. I got to commentate that one, and yeah, all the way up into P number 1 by turn number 3. So congratulations on that start. Unfortunately, though, you took a fair bit of unfortunate luck there. You went for the big undercut, obviously going onto those medium compound tires nice and early, and it just didn't work out. When that safety did come out, what was the mentality like in the McLaren team voice channel?
Well, we thought, well, that safety car came out right when I was leaving the pits, so really like no time to gain at all. It was just terrible timing. And then it came out, and it was kind of thought that we'd be really far back, and the Delta just when you're going through that first safety car lap, the Delta just feels like it's the slowest thing ever. And then we finally got to the pit straight, and we came out a lot farther than we thought we would have, which was a relief, actually. I thought we would be around P8 or something, and it was good enough to be in P3 at that time.
Yeah, there was definitely some double stacking going on with obviously such a busy pit lane there. Obviously, the drivers just couldn't get out. There was just so much action going on. A lot of drivers did actually get a lot of a massive disadvantage because of that one. But just quickly before I wrap things up with you, sir, that battle there right at the end for P number 2. Obviously, you had it. I said it on stream. You had effective P2 regardless, but you really wanted that P2 on track, didn't you?
Yeah, what went through my mind was last race I ended up getting that penalty removed, and I thought that maybe by some chance he could have had a double warning and just wanted to kind of cover the risk of that, and worked out pretty nicely.
Yeah, well, it was really good, good work by you, sir. Obviously, on the podium once more. I did speak to you a couple of weeks back, so congratulations once again, and good luck for next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Well, he's no stranger to the commentary booth. He's no stranger to the interview room. But it has been a little bit of a while since he has been on the top step. Becky B, what a race. And just walk us through that one. You know, you didn't get the best start. Certainly not as well as Sejos did, taking the lead into turn number 2. But you certainly used that safety car to your full advantage along with a lot of other drivers. Just walk us through how your race went and how it feels to be back in winning form once again.
Oh man, it feels great to be back on the top step for once. Or not for once, but again. I knew I was gonna have, some troubles in qualifying, so I was really happy with P4. I would have rather been P3 to be on the left side of the track, but it is what it is. Because I was running much lower downforce than I'm pretty sure almost everyone on the field. Decided to do that just to, see what I could do. And I think it definitely helped me in the race because I was able to, relax quite a bit and not really have to use too much of my battery and be able to keep the gap, to CJOS and stuff like that pretty large, and be able to catch up to the guys that I did need to overtake pretty easily. Definitely the start could have been better. I don't think it was bad. Had some pretty heavy contact going through. I think it was turn 4. Kind of got shoved off the track there. But other than that, I think it was a pretty solid start. Obviously, was trying to follow CJOS through as best as I could because he got an absolutely insane start. But overall, really, really happy to be back in the win column, and hopefully I can keep this going.
Yeah, another one, or just walk us through, that first stint. You see Sejos go for that undercut on you, trying to cover off the undercut from yourself, and then that safety car comes out, and you jump Sejos, but you're stuck behind this Renault of Twinkie, who didn't pit under that safety car. How important was it for you to get past that Renault as quickly as possible, and get past him when you did down I believe it was into turn number 13 on that restart lap? So how important was that for this race win here today?
I think that definitely was pretty important. I would definitely was confident in myself that I was going to be able to pull a gap to CJOS either way. But I was really glad to be able to get by him when I did, because I obviously wanted to do it in a straight line. That's how my setup was set up today, was for straight line speed. So I definitely used that to my advantage and was able to keep him behind. And I think it actually helped me getting him where I did, because going into sector 3, I think he definitely held up the guys behind me quite a bit. So I think it definitely was the perfect time to overtake him, and it definitely made the rest of my race quite a bit easier.
Well, yes, a very well. Congratulations from me again, Stars. Any questions or comments for our race winner here this evening?
I've only got one for Becky B. Becky B, can you just reveal your complete car setup for everyone in chat? Thank you very much.
No, I will not be doing that. It's not mine to give out, so
It was certainly very quick, so congratulations today. So well done.
thank you. Have a good night.
You too, bud.
Well, that rounds out the interviews for the Americas division, and what a race it was, Stars. Just absolutely mind-blowing. We saw how it was difficult to overtake, but regardless, we saw a lot of side-by-side action all the way down the field, especially through the very, very iconic third turn going around that long, long left-hander. We just on the edge of grip. We saw it go a little bit sideways, pun intended, for a couple, well, at least one of the drivers here today. But certainly some very, very nice racing throughout. Any comments before we end off things here this evening and raid a lovely, lovely member of the F1 racing community?
Just how good America's division is always giving us a show. It's again a great race. Obviously, like you said, the 180-degree turn left was really thrilling to watch today. So some really side-by-side action, and I'm looking forward to Tier 2 tomorrow morning. Should be even better, I think.
Yes, Tier 2, same place. We'll be here at 8 p.m. British Summer Time. That is 3 p.m. for those of you on the East Coast. That's Eastern Daylight Time. 3 p.m. for the Tier 2 action led by Stryfium and Unicorn. If it's anything like the two races we've had before, well, I'd keep an eye on those McLaren drivers. They seem to have a lot of speed coming into Sochi. But Stars and I will be back next week for the next round in the Americas division, round number 18, when we head to the land of the rising sun. It is the Japanese Grand Prix around the Suzuka International Racing Course. And my, oh my, does that track have a lot of history here in the MRL. A very, very fast, very, very flowing technical track as well. You have that iconic S section in Sector 1, and then that very, very epic spoon curve, 130R, and then, of course, the Casio Triangle Chicane at the end of the lap. But I think that's about all from us today. Exclamation mark NLR in the chat. A massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you are looking to take your sim racing experience to the next level and get that real sense of immersion and that real sense of speed for your sim racing setup, then exclamation mark NLR Next Level Racing is the place to go. And lastly from me, exclamation mark event. Again, there have been quite a few changes for the Misfits Grand Championship and a few more details on how you could win your very own FGT light rig from our lovely partners, Next Level Racing. But that is all from us here tonight. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast, and Stryfium and Unicorn will be back tomorrow for the next round in the, around Sochi, but Stars and I will be back next week for Japan, the Americas division, as we go into the last few races of what has been a very, very entertaining fourth season of MRL. But that's all from us, and we will see you next time.